Oh, those blokes in the office are a laugh. They told me I was going abroad, and then they said you're going to out of Mongolia, Gobi Desert, that sort of thing. I'm not, am I? I can't believe it. They've sent me to out of flipping Mongolia. I'm standing in the Gobi Desert or somewhere with some of these nomadic kids, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's China down that way, Russia's up there. We've got communist, you shut up, communist North Korea over there. And what's that way? Uzbekistan or somewhere, isn't it? What the hell's going on? Mongolia, known as the land of the blue sky. It's one of the most inaccessible and mysterious places on this planet. But we're here, along with about 2 million native Mongolian people, half of them nomadic herdsmen. And most of these kids tell me they're following me around because they think I'm Bobby Charlton and they've got all my records. Well, whether I like it or not, I'm stuck here in Mongolia, in the wilds of Asia. A country that's 3 times the size of France, a huge expanse with wicked terrain. And that's why we're here, because we're doing a 2,500 kilometre journey across Mongolia as part of the Camel Trophy Expedition. The Camel Trophy is probably the toughest, most arduous adventure expedition known to man. It involves 20 countries, 20 teams from 20 different countries from around the world. And over a period of 3 weeks, they'll make their way across mountains, forests, snow, water and ice. And we'll follow them as they kayak their way across Mongolia in waters like this. They mountain bike, literally up hills like this for part of the route. There'll also be orienteering across demanding terrain. But there's one other thing the contestants do. Well, that other thing, of course, is the driving. And for me, that's what the Camel Trophy is all about. You can keep your kayaking and your mountain biking and your canoeing. The actual 2,500 kilometres are done, every single mile of them, in these Land Rover Discoveries. And they do, as you'd expect, an admirable job in tackling the awful terrain, wonderful but awful terrain. The competitors have to draw upon their driving prowess, accuracy and navigation skills to get them through the driving heats. They're also responsible for map reading between the 8 competition sites. The teams prepare their Land Rover Discoveries in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia's capital. Now, enough food and essential equipment has to be packed without overloading the vehicles.
Do you want to know what we're eating?
Lots of different types of cheese. We've got different kinds of ham.
We need chocolate pudding.
We have a lot of stuff we're taking on the trip, food and equipment, and we have to find a place for it all. The cars look big on the outside, and in fact they are, but there's a lot of stuff to go in.
In fact, the teams are having to carry so many supplies that you can't see out of the rear of the vehicles. So Land Rover have blacked out the back windows. Oh, and by the way, that's Trevor and Karen, Team UK.
If things aren't strapped down, it's going to fly everywhere and it's going to hurt you. So everything's going to be strapped down, everything's in the right place, and we're going to keep it like that the whole way.
The main thing is we both know where everything is.
Yeah.
So if I'm driving and we have a problem, Karen can go straight to it and vice versa.
The journey starts in Subatar Square with its wet but colourful opening ceremony.
I hereby officially start Camel Trophy Mongolia 97.
Even the Mongolian Prime Minister turns up to give his official blessing, for what it's worth. And then he leads the convoy out of the square into the adventure of a lifetime for Johnny foreigners like us. It's raining, of course, but according to ancient Mongolian tradition, a journey starting in the rain guarantees good luck. En route, we stop at Turtle Rock, which travellers pass to avoid bad omens. But now it's off to competition Site 1. The Discovery is the team vehicle. In fact, every Camel Trophy so far has featured Land Rovers. Pretty standard spec car. We've got a 2.5 litre diesel engine. Tried and tested car, very, very similar to the sort of Land Rover TDI you could go down to your local dealership and buy. Big difference on this one, apart from one or two internal and potentially life-saving gadgets and gizmos. We've got, for example, a global positioning system which makes sure that we don't wander off into the wilds of Mongolia, never to be seen again. This is what I like. I like being surrounded by this special roll cage that, God forbid, if we do put this thing on its side or on its roof, this will protect us. And I hope I'm not tempting fate here, but it might well be. I've been looking at some of the conditions we've got ahead, and it could well be the case that some of us are going to put these things on their roofs, and I'm just fingers crossed that it's not us. Now, the stunning mountains and forests make an ideal backdrop for the actual start of the competition. Hello, what's this? Team UK are going for it. Go on, Trev, your country needs you.
You've got to be good at everything. If you're not good at, if you've got one bad sport, then you won't win it. So we're aiming to be consistent and get some reasonable results. So just have to see how it goes.
And while the teams are throwing themselves in at the deep end, let's chat to event director Nick Horn.
And we're here in Mongolia for about 3.5 weeks, and you might wonder why the hell we choose Mongolia. Well, it's a sort of country which nobody knows anything about. If you ask people, they say, well, yeah, I might have heard of Genghis Khan, or I might have heard of the Gobi Desert, and that's really about it. So from our point of view, it couldn't have been more suitable. It's nobody knows about it. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's remote, isolated, but with a wonderful culture. And from our point of view, meeting all the local people and travelling around Mongolia.
I mean, would you call it an expedition, a sporting event? What?
Yeah, it's an international expedition, but from an adventure point of view, it also contains a competition.
Sounds a bit like it's a knockout. Lots of international competitors, all playing games, having fun.
I would actually say it's more like climbing Everest with a car.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of describing it, I think.
So it's not it's a knockout. It's a very serious event, but it's a lot of fun, and that's one of the most important elements of it.
So join us after the break to see our 4x4 convoy progress across the barren plains of Mongolia. Welcome back to Four Wheels Good in Mongolia, where the teams are making their way to a place called Selenge, a town that borders Siberia. Now, the only way to get here normally is via the Trans-Siberian Railway, but not us. It's pretty muggy and claustrophobic in here, especially with all these gadgets and gizmos, which you might hear rattling around before our very eyes. But you know, it's all right for us. We're not actually physically taking part in the competition. All we're doing is chugging along here and there, catching up. But if you're up against the clock and you're dealing with everything from snow and wind and rain and sunshine all in one day, I kid you not, it's possible to have those extreme temperatures in one single day. It's that sort of terrain, those sort of extremes, day in, day out. And like I said, we've got the easy way because we're not competing. A little bit later on, you'll see what it's like when you're at the sharp end and you're flying your flag for your country. And the pressure's certainly on for Team UK and their small convoy. All contestants have to register at the next site before they can take part in the event, and this means getting there in good time. But it's not clear which route to take. Now, quick fuel break and they realise that they're lost and in the middle of nowhere. And as most Mongolians tend to leave their country and live overseas, there ain't exactly too many people around who will give directions.
I know it's backtracking, but we've messed up, yeah? So if we go back to the road, we shoot along the road, the way we went, we drive till it's dark, we pitch a tent and go. Yeah, sleep, we get up in the morning and we get to the campsite, yeah?
And this is the UK team showing the rest of the world how not to do it.
We messed up, we came over that bit and our wheel decided to go into there because it was looking the other way.
Yeah, we're quite hurry.
Big hurry, and we need to get to the competition site and it's a little bit annoying.
Well, you know, you might ask, what's the point in all this? There's a very good reason, apart from the competition element and the fun element for the contestants and the international camaraderie and competition. There's a very important side to all this, and that's the testing that effectively goes on Land Rover Discoveries when they're on this event. We've got out there dozens of vehicles, we're in one of them right now, going through the harshest terrain that the world can offer in a very short period of time over a hell of a lot of miles. And Land Rover, of course, learn lessons from some of the things that go on in events like this. The theory is that if these discoveries are tough enough to cope with Mongolia's hellish permafrosted terra firma, they should also be good enough for you to drive down to the supermarket. Gwill, you're partly responsible for some of the design features on this vehicle. How different is this Camel Trophy Discovery to the TDI version that you go out and buy in your local friendly Land Rover dealership?
Well, it's very similar in many respects. In actual fact, the vehicle is built on production and goes down a normal production line as the vehicle you'd buy in your showroom. What we do then is we take it away and we add on to it all the components that will make it fit for Camel Trophy and the vigorous use that it may get on those type of events.
So that would, things like the tyres and the springs and the shock absorbers you might change, for example?
Yes, indeed, to cope with conditions, and in fact on this event they've had mud and they've had very dry conditions, so we try and read those into the vehicle as a whole.
What about any underside protection for all those scrapes over those nasty rocks that could rip off your exhaust pipe?
Indeed, that's a bit of a necessity. They have to cope with some of the difficult terrain and to make sure that we don't lose all the undercarriage in such situations. We put underbody protection on to protect the sump and to protect the fuel tank at the rear.
This clever roof rack design, it's unfair to call it a roof rack because it's more than that.
We spent some time thinking that through. And what we've got is a very quick way of dismounting all of the equipment, so we can take the kayak off, and if you're actually tall enough, you can put it on almost single-handed. And the mountain bike's the same.
Okay, we've also got things like winches and tow bars,
Indeed.
spotlights, fog lights, ladders up the back. We've got a global positioning system, a GPS system inside the car, all sorts of other electronic onboard gadgetry. What does this all add to the cost?
Well, we're probably looking around £10,000, maybe a little bit more. Additional to what you would pay.
Doesn't
to
sound
take it out
bad.
of the showroom. It's very good, I guess.
The teams have successfully progressed to the next stage. And they're having to cope with Mongolia's largest river, which is swollen by melting snow coming down from the mountains. And my God, was skillful riding needed by the pedal pushers on this section.
This is excellent. Keep going, Karen. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Come on, come on. Come on, keep running. Keep running. Come on, Karen. Come on, nearly there. Come on. Go on, Karen. Keep going, keep running, keep running, keep running. Come on, run it. Go on. Go on.
What was that I predicted about the risk of rolling vehicles over in this tricky terrain? Well, the Greeks managed to do it, but their rivals from Turkey helped them out, and they all had a doner kebab to celebrate. But anything old Stavros and his mates can do, the Brits can do better. And before you ask, it was Karen, not Trevor, who was driving when the Discovery turned turtle. Now remember, Karen, 4 wheels good, no wheels, no good. And Karen, tell us about that accident. I don't want to bring back bad memories, but you were quite badly injured, weren't you?
I was injured, yeah, but I got over that. Yeah, it was me that was driving, and it came to this corner that was just a bit too sharp, and we skidded round it, and I did the right thing by taking my foot off the accelerator, but the wheels bit really quickly, which sort of threw me a bit, and we went herring towards this ditch with a bank the other side. So I swerved to avoid that, because if we'd crunched into that, we'd have had, been concertinaed. And the swerve made us completely roll over, and we sort of bounced off the roof. So we missed one complete side and just completely wrecked the other side. And
were the words broadcastable at that stage, or was it calm in there, or was there a lot of effing and blinding, or what?
No, we were all really calm. It happened like all sort of in slow motion.
Were you actually upside down,
we were
or
on
your side?
I was on the uphill side, and you were on the downhill side. And all this glass was falling on him from the window. And he goes, "Oh, what's this?" And it was blood, and none of us knew where it had come from. And I saw it on me, and I thought, I think it's me. And then somebody noticed that I had a big cut on my arm. The worst moment of Camel Trophy for me was when Rick, the doctor, said, "This could be the end of your Camel Trophy," and I burst into tears. "I'm not going home." I said more than that, but it's not broadcastable.
Well, and while all this was going on, while Karen was getting patched up, of course, you were going to work with the crowbar, weren't you?
Yeah, the crowbar, the hammer. I mean, the first thing, we had to get the kit out the back because there was diesel leaking out some of the jerry cans, and the door wouldn't open. So I borrowed a hammer and went to it with a hammer and got the door open. And then we had 2 doors that were open, and we had to get them shut. So we had a crowbar and a hammer to actually get them shut again.
So join us after the break to see whether Karen's decidedly second-hand car actually makes it to the end of the journey. We'll be back in a few minutes. Hello again, we're still here in Mongolia, and amazingly, Team UK are facing the right way up for a change.
Just going to try the interesting route. Does that look safe to you?
Now the teams have had to travel 250 k's to Site 3, and after a short rest the cars are put to the test once more.
5:30.
5:30? Give him a few more drinks.
The aim of this exercise is basically to match the ideal distance set by event management.
Hey guys, how you doing? Fine. Whoa, not bad.
Find a certain color, we come back and we go switch drivers, and we have 10 minutes to find the next color.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Inevitably on a dangerous driving event like this, things can go wrong at the wheel. And when they do, enter Dr. Mike Irani.
This year, the event has taken a change in that there's no longer the convoy formation. People have been given their GPS readings, their map readings, and told to get there at a certain time. So we've allowed them great freedom, but with freedom comes adventure and comes risk. And if they're out on their own and they roll a car, we need to make sure that everyone in that car can look after each other or other cars that might have rolled. So we had a great first aid emphasis here. I think we've had 3 rolls together, and of those I would say each and every one the seatbelt prevented more serious injury. You've seen the cars, you've seen the roll cages on these things. They are safety capsules. If you're in the car, you're going to be safe, but you ain't going to be safe if you're flying around within that car. You're going to start hitting things, and this is true in Mongolia as it is on the M4.
And also remind us what happens if somebody undoes a seatbelt when they're upside down.
They're going to, if they haven't already, they're going to have a head injury because they'll bang straight onto their head and their neck, and that ain't fun.
At this stage, the teams are fighting for a bonus award presented by Land Rover.
The Land Rover award is a ideal distance, which was driven by one of the staff members, and it's our task now to travel the ideal distance to a given point. And we don't know the route that person took, but we have to take into account the environmental conditions and our own driving capabilities and things like that to achieve close to the same ideal distance as that person. It does not have to be the shortest distance, it doesn't have to be the fastest route. This has to be the ideal distance.
Looks great fun, doesn't it? But this sort of off-roading is harder work than it looks. And it always staggers me when you're on an event like this and you see mountains that you climb and you see boulders the size of Volkswagen Beetles that you just climb over, and you see flints that you think are going to puncture your tyres but they don't, and you see water that you think is far too deep for a vehicle to get through, but it's not. It always strikes me that people really do underexploit their 4x4s at home. While you're pottering around going down to the shops or driving on the M25 or the M1 or whatever, I mean, these things can do so much off-road. You'll be staggered at the capabilities of these things. And in fact, like I say, you owe it to yourself really to exploit them a bit more because you're paying a lot of money. So get out there, enjoy it. Lots of four-wheel drive clubs out there. There are 4x4 centres scattered all over the country where you can have tuition in your own vehicle or in other people's vehicles, and then you never know, one day you might end up on the Camel Trophy. although it's very sunny here, it's absolutely freezing, sort of Arctic conditions. We've got these winds coming down from Siberia. And you know, an hour down the road, we might be able to sit by the side of a river sunbathing with our shorts on. And that sums up Mongolia, I think. Fortunately for them, the teams do take time off to enjoy the scenery and soak up the culture of this weird but fascinating place.
It's not a plastic one.
It's like the old houses in northern Sweden for 100 years ago. Imagine to live like this in the winter. It must be freezing. Yes.
Some even helped to set up camp. This is a traditional gear tent made from a light circular structure which is covered by felt or canvas. The collapsible wooden frame is ideal for the Mongolian nomadic lifestyle.
This is the last one, I think, to put in. So you put it there, then you twist this a bit to make it tight, and then wrap it.
Most gers have a central fireplace and a chimney through the roof, of course. On this part of our trek, temperatures can drop to minus 50 degrees centigrade.
Yep, there is 20 centimeters of mud, and after is icy because it's the permafrost. It's all the time.
Now, Lake Hovsgol is the Switzerland of Mongolia. In winter, it freezes over, and it's used by vehicles as a convenient crossing point into Siberia, where many Mongolians prefer to reside because living conditions and the weather are actually better than what they're used to back home.
I woke up this morning and all of a sudden I found myself in a kayak on a freezing lake. I don't understand it. Help me out of this dream.
Current is strong. It's a strong current, and the pulse is near, and also is easy to make a capsize also.
teams now drop down towards White Lake. This really is becoming a test of endurance as we encounter rapidly changing climates and terrain.
It's very windy. The weather was bad when we arrived, but now I think it's getting better. Hope tomorrow it's going to be better. And I don't know. It looks nice, it's very nice, but the weather is very difficult. I don't know how we can do kayak with this weather, and mountain bike is going to be tough. We'll see.
It's a great location, it's fantastic. Nice much warm, some of it a bit cold. Great campsite though, everyone's just camped on top of each other. It's going to be like body heat between the tents tonight. And if one person snores, everyone's awake.
We had all kinds of trek. Very dusty treks. We had treks with a lot of mud and treks with snow and ice. It was great. A lot of water. Super. And now I have my urgent beer. Cheers.
We'll leave the teams to settle down for the night with their cocoa, but we'll be back in a few moments with more madcap Mongolian mischief on Four Wheels Good. Welcome back to Four Wheels Good. We're still here in Mongolia, and as you can see, it's starting to snow.
This ice and sky, we don't have that in Canary Islands. We have a very nice sunsets, but ice and so many pine trees, and we don't have that. So it's very different. I mean, the countryside is very different to the Canary Islands. And this is, I think nobody in the Canary Islands has seen it.
Well, the view's certainly breathtaking, but the weather has created a hazardous route for us and the competitors. But the snow hasn't quite stopped play.
That's all right. Couldn't see much because you're going. But no, it's okay. We got a bit full of water because our spray deck's a bit broken from when we had the crash. And every wave we went through, in the end I was sitting in it like up around the middle, and it's really hard to steer. So it's like, oh god.
Gus, we'll stop this. Oh, stay straight, don't curl.
And my bum's freezing.
Travelling on to our next competition site, winter conditions are creating havoc and the Discoveries are mud plugging for their lives. But we've managed to reach our camp safely. It's about, they tell me about 5:30 in the morning here in Mongolia, and it's been a cold night. I've got layers of Gore-Tex and thermal gear and several pairs of socks, but my feet in particular are very cold. At one point in the night, I'm not joking, I was sleeping with my boots on. I'd swear if I didn't wear this stupid hat in the night, my ears would fall off because they'd be so cold. But I don't know what I'm complaining about really. The competitors in the Camel Trophy, they're out there now, they're preparing their Land Rovers and their kayaks and their bikes for another day of competition. And the idea, the whole purpose of us being here is we join them. And to be honest, I don't care at the moment because I'm just going to get another 10 minutes in bed, please. Please. Oh. Frankly, I think the competitors are bonkers. Now they're cycling miles of Mongolian mountain. Now the teams face more snow, and the Turks and Greeks remain inseparable, only to be stranded in a blizzard together for 13 hours. No wonder all of us, from the journalists to the competitors, were forced to sign disclaimers, accepting we could die doing this cruel event. But eventually they managed to free themselves from the mud and join the others at Tats Lake. Okay, so they've risked their lives and the competition has been fierce at times, but the teams have had some fun too.
Adesso è incazzata però.
We've been following the road the whole way, and it doesn't show on the map, but it's here right in the road. There's a fork in the road, but it's not on the map. Yes.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. This is Mike Rutherford, News at 10, Mongolia. Well, we arrive at the Gobi Desert, Mongolia. It occupies most of southern Mongolia, and it's home to scattered groups of nomads who herd sheep, goats, and you've guessed it, camels. I almost can't believe I'm saying this, but we're just driving out of the Gobi Desert. I mean, the Gobi Desert. And, oh my God. First one home, chaps, wins the Land Rover Trophy, remember? And it's won by the team from Romania.
It's really something. I mean, we are for the first time in Camel Trophy and winning something perfect.
The overall award is still up for grabs as the competition makes its way to the final stage near the ancient capital of Karakorum. Or is that Karakorum? What we're doing now is heading towards one of the camps for some real food, allegedly, and maybe even a wee drink or two, and a bed for the night, and some proper living quarters for a change. And I can't wait. Can you believe this was once Genghis Khan's very own patch? And it was also visited by Marco Polo. But today, it's just a small hamlet in the grasslands. That's it, 2,500 kilometres. I feel as fresh as a daisy. Well, we arrive at our final campsite to the usual warm, friendly Mongolian welcome. This is our home for the night. And it looks like someone's got the beers in, which is nice. It's day 20, it's almost over, and in this, the final competition, all the teams craftily arrange a mass dead heat and cross the line together. To these weary, demob happy competitors, this is the equivalent of reaching the summit of Everest. And as the expedition comes to an end, let's take a look back at how the vehicles have coped after 2,500 grueling kilometres. And what happens to this vehicle now? It's been rolled down a hill. It's had every panel bashed, battered and generally abused. I mean, this is not going to end up on some Land Rover used car lot somewhere, is it?
No, I don't think so. What will happen to it is the UK market will take this for future promotional activities, and it'll be used when it's tidied up a little bit for supporting the event next year.
You made a point to me earlier that although it did go on a roll down the side of a hill, that was nothing to do with the vehicle and was perhaps something to do with the driver?
Well, possibly there was a little bit of error of judgment there, but the fortunate thing about that, because of the way it's constructed, everybody walked away from that all intact, and they're here almost at the end of the event and still competing.
And what sort of mechanical state is this vehicle in now?
It's looking pretty good. It's been modified panel-wise the other side, but like I say, they walked away from it, and that's why we go to great lengths to put roll cages and that sort of equipment onto this type of vehicle.
And under the skin?
Under the skin, I mean, it's good. I haven't crawled underneath it, but I'm sure if you ask the question of the team, they'd be saying, no, your handle's fine.
Great. And one last question, if you don't mind me saying so, and you can punch me in the mouth if you like, because I'm about to be rude to you. Gwill Berry. It's a very unusual name. It reminds me of some Mongolian wild fruit that you might see on a tree or something.
Well, in actual fact, I shorten it for heathens like yourself, because it's actually Gwilym, and it's Welsh. And I've lived with it for a long time, and I know how to say it.
Told me, didn't it? The final award ceremony takes place in front of the ruins of a 13th century monastery. A rare sight in Mongolia, because most of them were razed to the ground by old Genghis and his mates. Oh, I almost forgot. The Austrian team were the eventual outright winners. The Brits, well, they limped home, bruised, bloody, and with more panel damage than anyone else in the, let's say, bottom half of the league table. What is going to be your lasting memory of Mongolia, Camel Trophy, all the people you've met? What's the one thing that really sticks in your mind at this stage? Apart from Karen, of course.
The people on Camel Trophy, they're the main thing. Because without the people on Camel Trophy and the spirits of everybody, you wouldn't have the same memories. I mean, they've just been fantastic. We've made so many good friends. We've travelled with quite a few different countries, and we've made some great friends. We really have, and friends not just for a few months, but for, hopefully friends for life.
Well, that's it. The sun's going down and our Mongolian adventure is over. But we survived it, despite the skin-scorching Gobi days, the sub-zero snowbound nights, the broken glass in my food, and the local vodka consisting mainly of paint thinners. But most of all, I remember the awesome and oh so cruel natural landscape. And the Mongolian people, of course. They had next to nothing, but the little they had they shared with us. But I'm left with fond memories of Mongolia, and hopefully you've had a little taste of the country too. Go on, visit the land of the blue sky for yourself. In a 4x4, of course.